Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And welcome to the VOS weekly program on Sunday, where we can do social media review. And the social media review, normally we can take issues them of importance in Sierra Leone during the week, where we get public interest, they bring debate from all take care of our spiritual needs. So without much ado, we don't start today. We want come for look at watching the trend in social media. The first thing we're going to talk about now something very important. When I think for deal with country in safety, in security, within at the hands of the people them, when they get the mandate under the constitution for actually defend the country. And this time now, we see say President Bio go in usual. And the unique thing about this one, the president officially launched Sierra Leone's development national defense policy and strategy. And he say this is a major step where we want to make the national security is of paramount importance. And also, it get dual role. Now for align the defense to the development strategy. We all know say the president been talk about in Big Five agenda. So for put in context, let us start with the video. We talk about what will be happen that day where we will celebrate Armed Forces Day. If control room can play and we can start from there.
This year's Armed Forces Day celebration does not only saw attendance of dignitaries from government parastatals and the international community, it saw attendance and a representative from a host of army generals from various countries such as the United Kingdom, United States of America, Nigeria, Kenya, and Guinea, who had served in key roles under the UNOMSIL, ECOMOG, and other regional security agencies to ensure Sierra Leone regain its peace after the 11-year civil war. According to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, retired Brigadier Julius Madabiu, called the celebration a moment of respect and honor for servicemen, praising the diligence of soldiers who gave their lives for the country.
A moment to recognize courage, discipline, and sacrifice. A moment to thank our officers, men and women of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces who chose service to country above all else.
President Bio, also in consonance with the hard work and dedication of the Rslaf, says effective April 2026, there will be an increment of salaries for soldiers of all ranks within the Rslaf. He said, because the army deserve more.
Accordingly, effective April 2026, I hereby approve a 25% salary increase for all ranks of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. This is a recognition of your service. It is an investment in morale and a reaffirmation of our trust in you. Therefore, direct the Chief of Defense Staff and the Director General of the Ministry of Defense to work with the Minister of Finance to ensure full implementation from April 2026.
In launching the first National Defense Policy Strategy, President Bio said the policy will create a roadmap for a secured, resilient, and confident nation.
I therefore charge the Chief of Defense Staff and the High Command to implement these reforms with discipline, urgency, and accountability. These reforms include the reversion to the tri-service structure, adoption of the core system, strengthened capability development, and sustained annual recruitment. Sierra Leone will also expand its contribution to global peace.
The ceremony saw the introduction of new colors presented to the Rslaf by the president. The color represents pride and stands as a symbol of honor and sacrifice for servicemen who gave their lives for the country. The ceremony ended with a conferment of presidential award not only to foreign army servicemen who represented their nation through the UNOMSIL, ECOMOG and other regional security agencies, or support to Rslaf during the 11-year civil war, but also local military personnel who gave their time and dedication for Sierra Leone to gain her peace and independence, such as the Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of General Staff, Chief of Air and Naval Staff. For SLBC, Moses Conte.
Okay, fumble them in a diary. This is a short video about what happened recently. We'll get the Armed Forces Day. I think that was on the 18th of February. Now, the Armed Forces of Sierra Leone, their responsibility is defined by the Constitution. And then at chapter 11, we talk about the establishment of the armed forces. It consists of the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And he said the principal function, which is the responsibility, now for guard and secure the Republic of Sierra Leone and preserve the safety and territorial integrity. What do you mean by territorial integrity? It means we now a sovereign state, we get principles them, we get national pride. So the soldier man them, and then for guard that system there, where they guarantee the protection of citizens, life, and sometimes they can do them in partnership with other security agencies them, we include the police and even the Office of National Security, the ONS. So now, what's unique on this announcement, we hear it and say the president, we get trained them from UK, from USA, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Guinea. These are the people that will be helped during the time we get Lili Wahala and Atom. Because we know so we get ECOMOG forces, we have forces from the West Africa region, ECOWAS. We get UNAMSIL, we have the United Nations forces, then we come together with Boku country, they be contribute troops, then they, especially country like Kenya. We know say even the UK have been helped during the war. When we get some, where them tell where them be all the Kenyan commander, General Opande, where them get for can rescue. So this is now a day of remembrance. But what's unique about this day? It talk about the defense strategy with the government, and then they now get for look at. Number one, it talk about the establishment of a defense enterprise service. What does that mean? We get for look at what President Bio mean about that. Inside that defense enterprise service day, we mean say the soldier man them or people them from Rslaf, when at the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, they go engage into things and way not directly relate to the primary function. Because as I say, when you look at the law, it talks say therefore participate in development. And the president don't get a development strategy now, where he say the sojaman them, number one, they get for involved in agriculture. Because they allocate 10,000 acres of agricultural land for letting them contribute to the Feed Salone program. But the concern is, it is a good initiative. But the key question where people can go ask, we know say, na Salone, the military, the police, the correctional services them, then are the only people in the public service where government, they give them one bag rest every month. Although not on a regular basis because then they grumble. And then bag rest then most of the rest then are other than they order them from above, from the procure outside Salone. And then they involve foreign currency. So if this strategy can help for the sojaman them or the military able plant rest, where not only means say we will stop for import rest, but also we rest surplus, where then surplus then we go increase the supply in the market, we go make price stabilization. But yes, it's good when they make the announcement here. Well, it will finally government able will know who say then they give them people there this 10,000 acre, because 10,000 acre of agricultural land, a big land. We know it's in the land system na Salone. Obviously, that land they will be outside the western region. And we get different laws them for land acquisition. So we don't know it if government don't identify the land. And if they don't identify the land, then go for talk to the different traditional rulers them, when a custodian of the land in our country, for let themselves be involved. So for make the announcements, a fine thing. But the full details, we're not going to able to access them until the information they come through. They also talk about the defense strategy, where now for look at the military, how they protect with sovereignty and contribute to meaningful national development. So we get these defense enterprise services and agricultural programs to support food security. So does that mean, say, the military will set up a particular arm? Because we also get laws them where relate to state-owned enterprise. So even if then they plant, yes, they get for conform with that legislation day. So it's still now work in progress. The other thing we talk about, then talk about endowment and loan scheme for service personnel. What's in this endowment and loan scheme? Again, we don't know. Why they give loan to military? It can be say that loan then are for boku tinem. We already know say, number one, the government don't talk say, only 30% of we service personnel them, then are accommodation, which is provided by the government, then are the barracks. And as we know, in the western area or western region, we get Wilberforce Barracks, we get Lumley, we get Moriton, We get Cochrane. Now the main one and the one and the. So how, if part of this loan scheme, now for help them, because accommodation is a major challenge for we service personnel them. So imagine if 70% of them stay outside the barracks, what does that make for redeployment? And also, would that go towards them actually acquiring the property? Because for instance, when soldier man dey in active service, if you're lucky, you go in a billet in the barracks. But if you don't retire, who say they go? Because you get for giveaway to the new intake the way they come. So that's a major challenge. So again, this loan scheme for personal and endowment fund, we'll talk about. We don't know what's in the details. And I feel to say in the interest of transparency, then strategy where they make sure and policy documents, then get for make them in a way where the money where they use for doing here, they come from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. And citizens then are then tax money, then they use for doing here. So if finally government, they make them plans here where then they get open to the public, let we know whether it's sustainable. Because as we all know, this Rslaf where then they give the soldier man them and the other forces there, it's not a sustainable thing. Nothing where I don't know why would they continue that practice then. Because boku 10 and day, the rest then they delay. They know they get all the time. So is it a policy war for continue? And also how this go relates to the role for letting themselves they contribute to the Feed Salone program. Because the Feed Salone program not just for the one they waiting at the forces, but also now for the ordinary citizens. Let them go able get rice when we staple food at an affordable price. So this is not the thing the way the government don't talk about. And if they talk about the president talk by saying in committed for build a modern professional military for safeguard the peace, stability, and democratic governance of future generations. So, ladies and gentlemen, my principal host, don't can join me. Mr. Shillon, welcome.
Thank you.
I don't know
Mr.
if you've been listening to what they say.
No,
I
no,
just start with the introduction.
Okay, no, I did not.
When they talk about this new defense strategy where the government don't get, we're number one, now for establish a defense enterprise service. An enterprise go a long way because in some other countries, them, I don't know if they include things to do with infrastructure maintenance, like road building, bridges, and anything and that. Because road infrastructure is a major challenge. And most of the people that were involved in road construction, majority of them road then they what they do. Now from the Chinese them, now then they get boku of that contract day. Because we see this China 7th Railway Group, we don't do boku road them, and then self been do that Wellington Massacre Highway, we then in a story for another day. So how we go left for depend on overseas contractors for the build road. For example, in doing this thing, we want to see how, when it comes to rice and agriculture, how the military they collaborate with the Ministry of Agriculture in terms of production and also for give support. Whether they get the appropriate machinery for carry out what the government don't say, these enterprise services, if they get the machinery, how would they manage for acquiring? So, I left you for comment on that introduction there. Before we go to the main one, we talk about a salary increase for all service personnel, because there's a video we'll go and play, and we'll question the approach. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. I just did try for, sorry about me coming on board a little late. I was having internet problem, but I'm glad you were there to jump on a moment's notice to take over. Now, I need not go over all the things that which Mr. Mengot say, but we do have some issues there where I'm sure have been mentioned, such as the sale of Juba Barracks and all the other things that Mr. Mengot just mentioned. So I try to look at me scared. Because today we're supposed to talk about...
No, we'll go to that later on, because now after this, from introduction, we want to talk about this 25% pay increase for service personnel, just for, and whether it's sustainable, and the method by which they want to do it.
Okay, that, what made you talk earlier today before coming on the show, I was a little bit confused as to how that can be done. I even make reference to the fact that I wish Mr. Kagbo would have been able to tell us if that's sustainable. So I personally, and I just wonder why it is just the army. Why not other? Because we all know one thing is a common truth of fact in Sierra Leone. The pay scale for the ordinary person is extremely low, far below the average ability for sustain yourself, put on the food on the table. So, and again, I stand corrected. Nowhere in the world have I ever seen a government take upon itself to raise pay by 25%. Usually when you do that, when you get pay raise, particularly in the West, pay raise to go like them 3 to 5%, no more than 7%. But this is a phenomenon. So the government then say, if like the airman say it will stone you, a dumb stone. So the government obviously get the money, or then get source and go pull the money without having to borrow it to raise. But it will have preferable if the government will have just told us, give us a specific figures in leons or in dollars as to what does that amount to. The number of people at the armed forces, since now all ranks will get the 25%. So if they can give you the specific numbers, the population of the armed forces, then do the math and tell we how that works, what that comes to in terms of dollars and leons. Then the third question would be whether we're able to sustain that. I hope the government not going to make the same mistake they make, because I've taken no credit away from the president who campaigned the free education, but then we'll find out that free education wasn't well defined for make it easy for everybody for have equal access to education. Because what happens, some beginning, they go to school, then parents do not get the money for buy uniform, for buy books, for buy school equipment them. So we want for a clear definition of what 25% pay raise will mean in terms of actual dollar vis-a-vis the current economic situation of the country. Because I don't think the government for us tell 25% without telling us how much that's going to cost and where the money is going to come from. And we understand also say Parliament do already appropriate funding for all for the government's expenditure. So now, if after that this just comes from nowhere, it would be nice, maybe Mr. Mengot know more about that, but I just question as to where that is going to come from. I understand, say, Parliament, I think, appropriate some supplemental. Generally, they will appropriate supplemental budget in case of unforeseeabilities, which I can understand, but still, I think the government owes it to the people to just tell how the government will be able to fund this increase, which seemed to me to be very gigantic. And then the other question we get, why just the armed forces? They have other important people than the society, from teachers to the police, for maintain order, and to civil servants. So why just the armed forces? So I go let maybe somebody go call we always try to get government officials them for come online for listen to them and call we and try for supplement some of the information that we would get for tell we say, hey, here's how things are going to work. And here's why 25% is not a big deal for the Salone government for increased salary for the army. So these are some of the general comments that I get for make so far right now with respect to the 25%. So back to you, Mr. Mengot.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We know say the president mean well, but if we listen to the clip, when he announced the 25% increase, he said the chief of defense staff for contact the Minister of Finance for see how it will make that possible. But in my own view, I would like for a reference from the Constitution, what in the Constitution say.
Can we hold you, Mr. Mengot, hold up to your thought. Please don't lose your thought. We have a caller. Let's take them as we go along, if you don't mind. Hello, caller. What's your name inside the question?
Hello, Mr. Shilon. How are you?
Pretty good, sir. How about you?
I do okay. I call from Virginia, and I'm in James.
Okay, Mr. James. Thank you for calling.
I just been listening to this broadcast.
Yes, sir.
What I will say, 25% increment. Yes, in Western world, now 1%, 2% that they give employees. But if you consider the inflation rate as alone, if they give you 10% and not sit down there, because remember inflation we don't go up to 50-something%. So with that, the salary don't lose whatever its value. So the past 5 years, this government we don't make arrangement. I don't know if I'm new to this. The security officers every year, government we don't plan say the military especially they don't say that they give them 75%. So that be face every year they add 25%. Every year 25%. The same thing will happen to teachers. And teachers are not the largest working population in Salone. The military are just like 12,000 to 13,000. So if they be able to implement that to teachers, I believe say they're going to go on for the military. Now that number one say, but now cases now we don't give in bulk, but now cases they do year by year. So I feel say now that one contribute.
Okay, if I may ask you, are you saying they don't appropriate or they don't decide say every year and then go raise the
yes, now 75% they be promised them, but 25% they be give face by face. We don't implement it like 2 times. I think the last phase is.
Oh, okay. So then this could take up to 75%.
Yeah, and the same thing happens to teachers themselves. Remember when teachers will be demonstrate, or they be strike, they be promise them, so they be doing face by face.
Okay.
But then I don't know, not team, Mr. Kabo, compared to waiting, the inflation don't eat all the money.
All right. Thank you for calling, sir. Let me pass you to Mr. Mengot and see if Mr. Mengot get a comment on that.
Yes, I will thank the caller for the reference we make. But my own concern is that when we look na Salone, every year we get what we call an appropriation bill. That appropriation bill, before it go to Parliament, all ministries and departmental agencies them therefore submit them budget to the Ministry of Finance. Then you can get budgetary hearing prior, and that bill they go to Parliament. Parliament approve them for the next financial year. So, if the government indeed be intend for follow wetin them already agree on, that announcement was not made during the appropriation bill when it become law. But I make sure I refer to the section of the Constitution, because according to the president's announcement, he said the Chief of Defense Staff for contact the Ministry of Finance for let then decide how he go implement them as from April this year. So in other words, this not to be planned budgetary expenditure. And we know say we get a lot of challenge. And at this particular time exactly, we're even for we recurrent expenditure, we just get 78 million where we get from the IMF. And you know, say when IMF give their loan, then it come with conditionalities. And I shall say, when them in the discuss that this issue of giving 25% to the military, no been come up. But I'll make reference to the Constitution. Then under section 112, it says the minister of the time being responsible for finance shall cause to prepare and lay before Parliament in each financial year estimates of the revenues and expenditure of Sierra Leone for the next following financial year, which they don't do. All the taxes, the allocation to the ministries, they don't do them. But I should say, if we go look at that estimate there was no provision in the appropriation bill will become the Finance Act for this kind of expenditure. But that don't say President not can do it. But the bill say where that's section 112 subsection 3, it say where in respect of any financial year, it is found that the amount of money appropriated by the Appropriation Act for a purpose is insufficient, or that need as a reason for expenditure or purpose for which no amount of money has been appropriated by the Act, a supplementary estimate showing the sum of money required shall be laid before Parliament. So, not for just let the President just say, let the Commander-in-Chief go talk to the Minister of Finance. I should say, then go get for prepare a supplementary estimate for justify this amount where they want to give them. And we don't get extra money. It means say they go for take money from other side them, be it health, education, for meet this commitment. And my own concern, when such announcement is made, it heightens the expectation of military personnel then. So, is this anyway affordable at this time? You just tell like where you don't make your budget. You know what's in your expenditure for your food, everything in the household. Then all of a sudden, you decide, say, I want other luxury item we not budget for. You go just get for looks or say, other thing that we don't plan, whether na usrento, or debt wey you get for pay, you get for use that money there. How that go affect? And also, the armed forces them, not to the normal day. We get other public servants them, we get doctors them, we get nurses them, we get teachers them. We don't set the bar high, say, well, look, give them so 25%. The other one, then they say, go make demand. And is it affordable? That's my concern.
Okay.
But until the Ministry of Finance prepare the supplementary estimate, go to Parliament, and then tell Parliament how they intend for fund them, and Parliament approve that supplementary estimate day, the Finance Minister cannot take money from other side for fund this president in pledge. Then they will be contrary to the requirements in the Constitution. That is the cautious warning we are to give. Over to you, sir.
All right. First of all, let's take a call. Then, second of all, if you go respond to the previous caller after this call, we say the same thing. This 25% now just a continuation of what had already been in existence for the past 2 years, and then the same provision was made for teachers and so on. I don't have any facts at my command to dispute that, but just think in terms of that, because this person we call that caller, they seem to think that it is in line with provisions that are already afoot. So let me switch to the caller and say, hello caller, what's your name? Where you call from?
Hello, Mr. Shilon. Good evening.
Yes,
Mr. Abdul.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for calling. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want Rob me more on this discussion, because I listen the president, I listen the spokesperson for the military, the Air Commodore Kumba. Mr. Service support 100% with Mr. Mengot say regarding that. This.
Please repeat yourself. You said the support waiting.
I support 100% the explanation that this will not be being budget for. So I humbly disagree with the previous caller that they don't give them 75%. It is just continuation. Let us just digress a little bit. The teachers union, I know say about 5 years ago, I think was it 2022 or 2020, when the president may propose for increase in salary by 45%, 15% year. So then begin give them 15%. I think it was in 2024 when the last 50% end, being that they are the largest government employees there. But the military union with the president talked during the military day are not thinking a thing where they don't do the budget. Let the caller call back, let it remind, but it is nothing that I know of saying that we don't do the budget. You know, we don't do the budget. Perhaps the president want to appeal them with that right, good. But like my own constituency, when at the teaching side, they are the least paid amongst government workers. A master's degree holder in the teaching just getting less than $100. It is about 2,000 newly or 2,100 newly, a master's holder. And somebody with bachelor's in education, they get about 1.8. And somebody HCC holders, then they get something like 1.5, about 1,300, and bachelor H1.5. Then those with bachelors in education, they get about 1.71, depending on your year of experience. So it is nothing to write home about. I don't say I don't say government workers, they are all underpaid. Because even the prison, I get a friend now the prison now, where instead of now bachelor's older and at the in the time say they hand it up to 2,000 new loans. So this not the issue that the salary in the country, it's nothing to write home about. That people they go through stress how for keep them family. So the president will not say it's bad for when he give them the 25%, but now something when we don't budget for. I'm not currently know the population of the military. I don't think they reach 20,000 yet. But now something we not budget for. And other the teachers them I know say during last year October the teachers them one go on strike. And the condition of service was one reason we make them go on strike. So if the president they propose for increased salary, then you therefore think about the one the way they get the least, especially this flagship program, this free quality education, because the free quality education not going to succeed if the service providers they are not satisfied. So I just say for make this call, I will stop. I will call back regarding the sale of Juba Barracks and the other things, because it is worthy, like the projects are really meeting for that. And if I can highlight the minister, the spokesperson for the military say they don't acquire land Mashaka, Kenema, Moyamba, and Bo, over 10,000 acres where they don't acquire, and they already don't start rice and cashew nut. So they want going to palm oil as well. Now that's I read the spokesperson for the military wait it talk a good thing. But the sale of Juba Barracks don't get plenty backlash. I don't see any reason why make them for sell Juba Barracks or go develop any other side. Like they talk about the estate they are feed. Say they want to bump the estate they are feed. So I don't see any reason why they for sell Juba Barracks. Rather, they for improve them, because according to the spokesperson, he said they just get 20 units at Juba Barracks. So enough. If they get a high riser like 3-4 stories, they make a public-private partnership where then they work towards. That would be a very good thing. But I just say these are some of the things I really get from them. I will stop so far. I will call back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abdul, for calling. Let me see if I can take another call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where's you call from? Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Caller, are you on the line?
Yes. I'm agreeing
Okay.
with this now for the Mustafa from Leicester.
Hey, hello, Mr.
Thank you
Mustafa.
Yes, last week I called Suti, they not pick the call. Because I want to speak for last week's program. I don't know what will happen.
Sorry about that. I know Mr. No, that the control room, they're in charge of that. But sorry about I apologize because you don't want to add anything.
So, yet I don't talk about this, the budget. I mean, for Kanji, just 25% increment. Now, the danger this way, we get somebody which don't have status. We no nothing about management. Nothing, nothing about management. Where you talk about now abroad, even for increased salary by 1%, they get for come to legislation and they agree on that before it. But because we not get any monitoring mechanisms, and instead they take advantage of that, you just don't know like we don't bell full see 25% here, 30% here, and I can't understand how this man did the reason. Last year, the local council, they don't get no money. The only money we didn't give them now the last quarter of 2024, now they give them in August of 2025. We they ask the minister and I talk say, well, I can't then get lost say if the year be don't pass, any money we get inside that other year, now for that year day. So it means say 1 quarter for 2024, they don't get money, then get 1 quarter for 2025, and 3 quarters they not get. Now the same man this way they just do is a 25% increment. Because what didn't they do in Salone? Then they pay salaries them. But when it comes to development projects them, they don't get money for that. Development should be channeled through the local councils. But if you look at council, they don't get money. Which side development they come out? So number 1 point. The man not having nothing, the man be whole money goes to Ghana, Ipuela, not having nothing for management, he say not having nothing for business. And but government na business, because na buy and sell income and expenditure. If you don't know anything in the we don't get no hands in business. Now this man just is done he pronounce. The other two at one point, I don't know if you put it on the agenda. Because I just come late small. I think about 5 minutes late. I belong to tell about any political party there. I want to talk say, oh, they silent them. Now I see what it don't happen. All what that man don't talk alpha on alpha. Them party their way, even the president don't come out and party other party they don't install young people in the and all right letters see they approve it. Now them party that they advocate for. These people are not politicians, not drag man them. Then they look for who feed their families or for who be lose them. These are not political parties. And a serious issue like this man, which he don't talk all, we are not question nothing. We say go ahead and appoint them. They don't get what they forget. So I just want to talk about that policy. I let me one stand. I will talk say ethically and normally. If we get political parties, they are opposition parties, then it's fine for consult them. But then why are we in a saloon? That upper, those are not opposition political parties. Because they don't get no interest for country governance. They don't get no interest for winning seats. Then say then a opposition party them. The other the third thing I want to put out last week we are not been that the when I talk about constitutional amendments. I've been talking several times say then people are not getting no interest for that. They don't get no interest because if they implement all of the things the way they make sure say in elections are clean, and then we come on a power and go hold them accountable. And now they would not reach so. I don't tell you this long thing. Una not stop on a drag on a foot there. Una come on a parliament or part of government because these people don't listen to you. This is why we are now. Una see now, you don't appoint and don't do this and don't get go to parliament. This now the thing is why I want to put on the table. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa. The second part of that constitutional amendment, we plan for discussion today in our part 2 of the program. So now that no more I will have for saying. Over to you, to Mr. Shillon. You be asked a question about the first caller.
Yeah.
Remember, you said the first caller been talk say this 25%. Nothing where they may not agree on. And not get no way for dispute that. But we can only listen to the announcements where the president make. From the video we play, it appears that it was a spontaneous announcement. Because he said, in the given 25%, effective from April. If this was something that government have in mind, if it don't be part of the appropriation bill, when they approve for the financial year. But since it not be part of it, it just come out and now it is say the chief of defense for go negotiate with the minister of finance for how for implement them. Minister of finance cannot spend any money outside the appropriation bill when it don't become finance act without a supplementary estimate approved by parliament. That's the point I'm making.
And for buttress, what do you say, Mr. Mengot? And this is just from, one could reasonably deduce or conclude that this must have been, and I would say spontaneous as such, but a thought, it was an afterthought after the appropriation of whatever the government need for the rest of the department and for run. Because if not, the president indeed, just from, that's a matter of common sense, but the previous caller, well, the first caller, with whom the next caller disagree, please, you can call back. But it's reasonable to assume that this must have been an afterthought, because if it was planned, if it was consistent with what you say had already been planned in terms of the 25% increments, then the president will not have said the chief of defense staff will consult or contact the Minister of Finance and then go work it out, because that's not how things are worked out in government. And I'm sure, like Mr. Mengo just said, the chief of defense staff now would just call the Minister of Finance and then they get money from somewhere. So it looks like this is not consistent with the previous caller in statement that a 25% increment is not a spontaneous thought. Now, something will be the plan. In fact, we already was in planning for being implemented. So I want to agree that, but if that caller they can call, we and elaborate on that, we'll greatly appreciate it, because we want to make sure, say, people are informed adequately in terms of what actually is going on. But that's just for this moment, that's what I just want to talk about. This 25% increment is somehow bizarre. And then there is some conversation about inflation, that inflation was up to 50%. I think that's what the caller said. So 25% raise in salary or income doesn't seem to be a big deal. According to that caller, we still fall below adequate salary for people and for survive. So let me just say that for right now. So caller, please, previous caller, if you're listening and you want, we appreciate greatly if you can shed some light on the issue for say this is consistent with something that was planned and that it's been considered long before the president announced them. And it would seem to me that if this was something that was planned also, the president will not have announced it the way he announced and then suggest, say, that the chief of defense staff work it out with the Minister of Finance. There are ways the government, they do things, but I don't think a minister just to call the Minister of Finance for appropriation of some amount of money and then get them. So let me go back to you, Mr. Mengot.
Yes, now go to the other key issue where they be announced on this day, because we always rely on evidence-based presentation. If we can ask the control room now for let it play that video we talk about the sale of Juba Barracks, because this Juba Barracks, there are some people in a way they connect say, well, sometimes this 25% now for appease the soldier man because of this sale of Juba Barracks, but not to review that. Let's find out why government wants sell Juba Barracks and whether now the same then they follow lay down procedures. Some people they say that sell and they sell them. Some other people they say no. Now public-private partnership. So go and discuss that. So let control room play the video for we. They will go discuss the key issues and challenges when it comes to the sale of or lease or use of government assets for purposes other than which it was not designated.
The Air Commando, Chief of Air Staff and Defense spokesperson of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, Rslaf, Hassan Seikomba, has confirmed that the Defense Council has approved the sale of Juba Military Barracks as part of efforts to raise funds to support military infrastructure development. Speaking in a recent media interview, Komba said the decision followed internal assessment and a cost-benefit analysis conducted by the military authorities. So for the Juba Barracks, which we will trade off, we have bought more lands than we will need for now for us to be able to move people, he stated. According to him, the armed forces have already secured additional land to accommodate personnel who may be relocated from the Juba facilities. He noted that Moretown has sufficiently space for modern development, including the construction of high-rise building. If we trade off Juba, Moretown has space where high-rise building can be erected. You know, these days you just need a piece of land where modern and high-rise building can be constructed, Komba said. He disclosed that negotiations for the sale of the barracks are currently ongoing, although specific details are yet to be finalized. The negotiation for Juba Barracks is in progress, but I do not have the details on the negotiation, but I'll make the details available once I confirm it, he added. Providing details about the current layout of the barracks, he said there are about 18 soldiers' quarters at the site, along with additional space measuring approximately 20 acres. These are about 18 soldiers' quarters here, and there are other spaces about 20 acres. So even if we trade the Juba Barracks off, we will still be able to have many buildings which can house more soldiers, he stated. This is Sierra Leone TV, and I am...
Okay. Now, let's start by introduction, because as I say, this plan for Juba Barracks, they don't get approval from the Defense Council. But let family know waiting at the Defense Council and who are the people that waiting at the Defense Council. Then they under Section 167 of the Constitution, we say there shall be established a Defense Council which shall consist of all the people are here, the President, who shall be the chairman, the Vice President, the Minister responsible for defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, the commanders of the armed forces, Army, Navy, and Air Force and their deputies, Minister of Internal Affairs, and 2 other persons, as the President shall from time to time appoint. So these are the people that way, then at the Defense Council. Now they don't make that assessment day, we say Juba Barracks could be sold or leased or ownership transfer, we not clear. They also say they don't do cost-benefit analysis. Waiting a cost-benefit analysis, you look at waiting at the costs of actually securing an alternative site or areas and the benefit of that compared to your present site. So you do comparison. Waiting I get now, and if you give me more money, I will spread that money there for get cheaper option. But one of the things that where the spokesman say, it defeats the argument, because in they say Juba, that area there, na high valued area, right? And in get space na Moritong, you know the area. Juba and Moritong, both na high value area. So where Juba, you say you get place na Moritong. Moritong, na then at the logistics center. So Juba Barracks and the location get historical link, because now be under the West African Frontier Force, they may establish them. Because then for make sure say, who say they, it easy for respond to any imminent attack. Because you could find out, say, the frontier, you get a sea front, then it connects from the peninsula to another major place where the train went at Juba Barracks. So strategically, it's located strategically. So when you pull and they, you must get logistics problem. Then the other thing where you talk about, where you not tell we, that same area there, now there you get Services Secondary School. So nobody know to talk about the school. And Services Secondary School was built or established for the very military people them, for them picking them, for get secondary education. So they don't talk Usai, they don't get another site for the school. They only talk about accommodation. And my experience, accommodation for military personnel, you talk about high-rise building. Almost high-rise building you go plan. You ever think about if you do high-rise building, water supply, electricity, and all that in there. So last stop there first and get you for comment. Then law go into the laws they now either dispose or of government assets or land, or how you can enter into partnership. Because what's not clear, we not clear because if you talk say you they sell the land, you get for follow the Procurement Act, where according to the law, the Procurement Act of 2016, then forget a procurement committee within the military. Or if na public-private partnership, you also get the Public-Private Partnership Act, which means there should be a PPP procurement plan where the final say left with Parliament. Last stop there and get you for comment. They'll go talk about some of the key challenges then. Because you get for go through the law of procurement and other existing law in terms of transparency, whether it's been gazetted, whether an open tender, whether a preferred bidder, all the one and they, we don't know about it. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mengot. Let me take a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you call from?
Hello?
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 Yes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Passion and Mr. Mengot.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, we miss you, Passion, but we don't really come back.
Thanks.
You the voice, you are the right, you are Mr. Mengot, and the right voice of Salone.
Thank you for the compliment.
Right.
Thank you. We greatly appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Let me come to this military barracks, where these reckless presidents they want for sale. That barracks they don't build during colonial days. If these presidents want to make you say a one left legacy during time, it is a shame to them. We for try for improve the barracks there. And I agree with Mr. Mengot that military barracks in a strategic point will be useful to themselves to Bambai. Because look at the sea area. We go useful to them. If in case if anything happen at the country, they will get access for logistics. We not go strain at all. Because this one what they call say president, anything called now and today. In a kind of vision in my mind. Now for where goggles na yai, put on my face, go to my where should your man uniform? Nai illegally for. Because if you look at the man, look at the man to wear goggles na yai, with wear uniform, where they wear uniform. You see, when you get a leader with a vision, would encounter a lot of problems. Great, my
Sorry, sir, I go interrupt you. Pa, you can make your point, but no attack personnel na we platform, including the president.
I know, sir, but
because
you
I mean,
this, sir.
Yeah, because I feel to say we forgive and I respect
the president said, born me the barracks. They born me the barracks thing. They born me the Mr. Naya when they talk to say born me the barracks thing. And I see how effective that barracks thing be the contributors alone. In that barracks thing. Now in Waitman terms, that school where they taught to school soldiers. Now the military academic that I didn't even train them cadets there. We're very useful to the military, so we. I didn't even train the cadets, the school, that's very school. I can remember so that they just meet them, they train. With so many other so many people there. That's a lot of people there. Instead of this man can improve their thing and day, he's a member for Salam. Believe me. Let know say all said and done. To me, if you go down, if you go deep down, deal don't pass there. He said will not get your percentage a day. This man they look outside, we will get couple for go. He gets that they look outside for get couple. For go away in term done. Because I don't see I agree with Mr. Mengot where they say he won't give 25% to the military people there. If I go through process. Look at this man. Oh yeah. Salon within the big mess. Big mess. You go tell me that the Lebanese will come by that place there. The Lebanese will come improve them. Then we now going to say, the many tribes within Ayamai. We will not see anything where they will have legacy over to say yes. It's terrible, sir. It's a shame to them and intimidate them. Big shame. And secondly, again, when we talk about amen, this man I talk about, we not hear anything but pensioner. Can you imagine? Nothing. They don't discuss anything about pensioner welfare. That's the problem, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for calling.
It was really
the buzzer don't go off. Okay. But you can call back if you want to continue your comments. Please. All right. Mr. Mengot, they'll go to you about the procedures and everything.
Okay, sir. What you will get for no is, Lord, look at if indeed they want do this project under a public-private partnership. We get the act. Public-private partnership will mean to say the people who will acquire that land there, we don't know exactly what in the purpose they will acquire the land for. And then go provide alternative area. Because if they talk about Moriton, who said the logistics center there, now already now government a military property. So let's assume say you go under public-private partnership. The law say, under the Public-Private Partnership Act, before you do anything like this, you get phases of a PPP project after consultation with the minister responsible for that sector. So in this case, now the Minister of Defense. So, you go get an indication of the essential thing of the project. Whose kind service then they render? The summary of the main requirement. Then you get a pre-selection, because they never put on a gazette. We always talk about this gazette. The pre-selection bidding documents for B, at least whether the contracted authority intend for waive any limitation on the participation of consortia in accordance. So you get pre-selection when they talk about how you allocate this. And the person where they come, the pre-selection criteria, they get for sure say, they get professional and technical qualification and human resources for do this kind of project. They get adequate capacity for fund the project. And they don't get experience of such kind of project. So we don't know all about that. We are saying that the Defense Council, that they don't approve. But if the Defense Council don't approve, then they get procurement committee according to the Public Procurement Act. And if not PPP, Public-Private Partnership, we will get an act for that. It can be either open tender, or if you get preferred bidder, that preferred bidder, then you get for show why not them you choose, and the reason why you know make to open tender. And also, if you look at the Procurement Act, the value of the contract, they determine whether it be international bidding or local bidding. But this, since a incurred property, the people them, when they can do this agreement with government, they for sure say they may not get experience in this kind of project. So there's still time to go. And all this therefore be presented to Parliament. Because you cannot enter into any agreement of this nature without the documents them. First, they don't make them public through a gazette. And secondly, without a bill in Parliament where for sure say, waiting and they do, follow the two key acts them, the Public Procurement Act and the Public-Private Partnership Act. So for now, they just announce, saying that Defense Council now approve. And I don't tell you now who that in a Defense Council. The next, they get this procurement committee. So it's a long run, but it's not a foregone conclusion. So now that number I get for say in terms of guidance of the law. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, based upon what you just said, it looked like, with the exception of two people, now the procurement committee, the executive almost had exclusivity in terms of making a decision to dispose of government property. I think that 2 out of about 7 people who you name.
That guide, according to the announcement by the spokesman, he said the Defense Council, now they don't make the decision. Now make sure I go to the Constitution for so who that in the Defense Council. Now make them back for people them. The President, now chairman. The Vice President, the Minister of Defense, and I believe say in Sierra Leone, I don't think so we'll get a separate Minister of Defense, but probably we have one. Then the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS. Then the commanders of the armed forces, that is Army, Navy, and Air Force. So if you talk about the Navy, you talk about the naval commander. If not Air Force, the Air Commodore. And by the way, we get into arms here of the military. In fact, that Juba area there, before be suitable for let it be the headquarters self for the naval wing because of the seafront. If you say you are improving infrastructure and logistics, that should be an option. Then you get the Minister of Internal Affairs. They will throw the person as the president shall from time to time appoint, which we don't know. So now then people and they decide, say, Juba Barracks for be disposed of. I just want to give you that guidance, Lisa. But in terms of procurement, under the Procurement Act, the same ministry forget a procurement committee. When then they decide how they will go about this. So after the Defense Council don't make the decision, then you get to go through the procurement process. When it's either through the Procurement Act or the Public-Private Partnership Act. That is the point I'm making, sir.
And to add to that, I will only hope, because this sale proposal of, it appears as if it's not only Juba Barracks. There's consideration to sell Moriton also. But that said, I hope we don't end up having buyer's remorse, because as we did with the railroad, and so the railroad will be a major institution of the country. The president decided to get rid of the railroad, and then it turned out that that was a huge mistake, that we should have kept it under any circumstances. We should not have gotten rid of the railroad. So now I hope this doesn't fall in line, this sale of the barracks, if at all it goes through, doesn't fall in line with which I call buyer's remorse. We'll sell them, then tomorrow we'll regret them. And again, I've always suggested that what we need to do, let me read a comment here. Only Parliament can increase the pay for any member of the government. The President doesn't have the authority under the Constitution to declare a raise by itself or by him. Parliament exercises its duties. So this person, the content say, the President not get the power for just suggest a 25% raise or any raise for that matter, no matter what the percentage, and for it to go through, there are ways already set for that to be, for the president in desire to be achieved. But there is a way to go about it, not as the president suggested. There was another comment that came
in. No, but for clarify that, sir, the president is the chief, is the head of the army, right? His suggestion is in place. What would not happen is the Minister of Finance cannot act on that recommendation without putting a supplementary budget to Parliament, identifying the source of funding and the reason for approval. But the president has the right to decide, say, increase salary. But then it has to follow due process, because Parliament is the only organ that approves. Once they don't approve a budget, anything outside that budget should be followed by a supplementary estimate which will come back to Parliament for approval. So that's my response to the caller.
Okay, I want for us to be straight. I don't think anybody questioned the president in right to propose that, but I think the question becomes authority, because it looks like this is not a proposal, it's a command. You know, go talk with the Minister of Finance, who also the president controls, for achieve waiting I just announced. So now the procedural aspect, I think that caller there or the person who sent the comments because he's saying only parliament can increase the pay. According to what he writes, only parliament can increase the pay for any member any member of the government. So I am not so sure about the language being used here. So I think the president get it right, but I don't know if he get the authority. I don't know if we use the word right and authority. I don't think they're synonymous in this respect, but they may. I don't know. Mr. Mengot, you're more of an expert on that than I am, but I'm just trying to make the technical distinction between authority and the right to,
Well, the president can make what he make is a proposal. Law put on that way in a proposal.
Yeah, I think so.
And he get right for make the proposal. Now make sure he say, let the chief of defense staff contact the Ministry of Finance or the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance now your responsibility for follow due process according to relevant sections in the Constitution where deal with appropriation, especially when we already don't get an appropriation bill we don't approve for the financial year. That is the point.
Okay, I think the point is well taken. So we can move on with whatever else we have on the agenda. If someone disagrees with what Mr. Mengot just stated or what he would state, please feel free to call and enlighten we with respect to what you have in mind or what the difference is. We greatly encourage you now, because as we say, this is something of national interest. It affects everybody whether you live in Sierra Leone or not, but if you get interest in Sierra Leone and you want to make sure, say, the country benefits, these are issues that we are all interested in and we should be talking about. Let me just read an earlier comment that came in. Where is the Ministry of Finance in all of this chaos? Maybe they can have more clarity in the matter. Maybe so. They could, as we've always done, would they encourage government officials, if they're listening, or if they're members of the team, they listen, or the need for calls sometimes when these issues are raised, for discuss them with us, jointly, so we'll go enlighten the public with respect to what's happening. Because we know they try for criticize, we just want to understand the reasoning or the reason behind certain decisions certain proposals that are being made, So where else in the capital do they have a space to relocate this unit? Well, I don't think that they intend to relocate this unit in the capital, because they're talking about, the things are not clear, but they're talking about Mile 47, around that area there, and different places where they say the government jointly own or do procure acreages of land. So it would seem to me they're not trying to replace them now within the city. I can't see how. Now here's another comment. For a former soldier to sell such a specific location like that is a major setback for the army. Why not make major improvement instead of selling it off? Well, the opinion is welcome, the suggestion is welcome, and these are things that we would try to encourage people for just make their own contribution, not necessarily criticizing, but coming up with other views in terms of what we think could be done, may be done, should be done, and for something like this, we would think, say, it's monumental. A big deal this, because these are historic pieces of properties. The barracks, Juba, Daru, and some related places from the east to the north to the south. You know, I mean, disposition of them barracks, then even though they may be necessary because circumstances have changed, times have gone, but it will be wise for just take the time and educate the public why such is, particularly Wilberforce, Juba, and Moriton. And I think Daru falls in the category there, because Daru was the only barracks we had up country, like Daru in Kalaun district for a long time. So these are historic real estate, rare property, pieces of land that if government sit and sell them, it would be nice. I think it would be nice if the government would tell we which are the reason, which are the cost benefits, and how that enhance or progress the well-being of the country. So that's what I would say. Now, let me read another comment. Where is the opposition in this matter? Do they agree to the spelling of two? I think it's selling, but it says spelling. To the selling of two? We don't know. The opposition members are also welcome. They too are missing in action, in the sense that we always encourage them for come on board, for calling to them programs here, this program and many other programs of national interest, and make their own contribution. But we don't hear from them, you know, and when we don't hear from them, that's a bad indicator or indication. But it would be nice if they too have opinions that we can listen to. Now, I see, doesn't parliamentary oversight have a say in the matter, or is it already a done deal? I am not sure it's a done deal. I have no way of knowing it's a done deal, but I think parliamentary oversight is in place. I think that is part of the requirements before any sale of this type or for this kind of property will be finalized. Parliamentary oversight will be involved. So let me go back to Mr. Mengot on some of the issues here, if you get any comments.
Well, we fumble them. There are more questions than answers when it comes to the sale of whether it's an outright sale or whether it's under public-private partnership. Whichever way they plan for disposal, what you will know so far is that the Defense Committee or Defense Council, now they don't say this for happen. And then tell we say they don't do the cost-benefit analysis. Waiting no more get for happen, now whose kind procurement method they get for follow? Whether an outright sale or public-private partnership, that is unknown. But whichever the two, because it's something with tantamount to defending a realm or in defense of the country, they cannot go ahead without the final approval of Parliament. So wait for see how they go proceed. So long not put board na government the much, wait who they are for so. Now for say yes, we don't hear waiting the government say, we just they give guide as to how then they go forward.
Let me also take
so if we don't get anything on the army now,
no,
the other important thing is
May I take a call? May I take a call?
Yeah, take a call, yeah.
Yeah. Hello caller, what's your name? Say the call from.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams.
No, there's no Mr. Williams. There's Mr. Shillon and Mr. Mengot. Is the caller Mr. Williams?
Yeah. You say who that they call?
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Pardon me.
Yeah.
My apology.
You see who that they call?
Okay.
Yes, sir. I come back. I come back. You say one word way touch me. And the word way you say, Mr. Shillon, he said Now, so we sit down, we phase out with a way. And they like today, so we deeply regret. Deeply regret. Where one man come, it's sell with railway, facing out, face the railway out. Lord, they let today, so it's 12 now. They can't even tell we say, the man tell we say, when you go face the railway out, they go provide transportation for the farmer. For bring and produce their car. Where now? That man go sell the railway, phase out the railway, I mean, phase out the railway, even go to the extent, go sell the track them. The track of the railway. It's go sell another man country. And not give accountability to the citizens alone. You know, tell almost if he goes sell up. Can you imagine? Now the same thing they can reflect back on his barracks. Because you don't want man they come. They can sell the asset to the country gets. Because the asset that the British people will not come, go to left and give it. Instead of it will improve for the benefit of the citizens. But now, if you don't know, they can't sell it. Sell it now, one man, they can't take the money, they can't go. So now they look at shallow people there. It's a shame. We got deeply regret. Now that way that goes up. But now you picking them, great guy picking them. They go deeply regret. Say why one man will allow one man for cancel? We accept the one for we picking them for benefit. It's a great shame. I rest my case.
Thank you for calling, sir. Yeah, if history is any guide, we just have to go slow, or kele. They will make sure, say, if, like I said, now historic properties they want in there, they're just not ordinary properties there. The 4 barracks that I just mentioned, I may have missed one because I left Benguima out because I don't think it was considered a barrack. I think Benguima was just where the army they can go and get a range day where they go land for shoot and get some other kind of training. But I do know Daru, Wilberforce, Juba, and Moriton were actually main military assets that forgo now we book as historic property them. And historic properties should not be treated like any other property. But the government is in charge. They may have they may have come up with some kind of smart way, better way selling the Moriton, starting with Moriton, maybe Juba, or starting with Juba, then Moriton. Maybe they get good ways where it could be for the benefit of the country, not for a handful of people who do not have the best interest of the country at heart. So I hope, say, the government get the foresight. But going back to the disposition of the railroad, which was a major instrumentality in the economy in the country, like the caller just said, we were told the railroad will be replaced by a network of roads. It never happened. It never happened. And we don't get sense and get the opportunity for ride the railroad. We know what a difference it made then and what probably a difference it will have made now had it still been in existence. So we just want people, some of us have sentiment to them then activities here. So we get a little bit sentimental, emotional when word begin to go around that they are going to be disposed of, particularly by people who may not even have any historic connection with them property or what they want to dispose of. With that said, let me go back. Let me go to my co-host because we have one or two other items we want to deal with before we run out of time. Back to you, Mr. Mengoch.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And as we say, we leave everything open. We do hope that, say, governments go allay the fears of the skeptics, because they say governments say they don't do a cost-benefit analysis. So all them documents in there, by now, not anything and get for send go to Parliament, because at the end of the day, this is a major decision where they make. Even the defense strategy where they know plan now, where the government announced, I think the next stage now for let them take that strategy, they go Parliament. Let them rub much panel. But now we come to the second part. The second part of our discussion today, now a continuation of, we say, since they review this constitution, we will have to keep people the updates. And last week, the following things did not happen. We will deal with them one by one. The first one, now this issue of the appointment of the Electoral Commissioner. Now, we know say there's a clause in the bill where they go Parliament for how then they appoint the Electoral Commissioner. Then talk about a search committee. Then talk about, then give the criteria for the Electoral Commissioner, the academic qualification where you get for each, the professional qualification, and this is a subject. But the government or the president was clever enough for stick to waiting in at the present constitution. The present constitution, now under section 32(3) of the constitution, where say the president can consult political parties and Uda Iwa appoint as Electoral Commissioner. The man where they appoint is not new, not to outsider. He don't work in the Electoral Commission for over 20 years. He also been on serve as Commissioner, I think, for the East during the last election. But President been give all the political parties them 14 days, 3 days, where he writes to them, tell them, say, now this person I want bring back, right? And are they asking her? So apparently it appears that we get 14 registered political parties, according to the announcement they make. Out of that 14 registered political parties, 12, according to State House, they agree with the president's appointment. He said the section we use as section 32, subparagraph 3, where say the members of the Electoral Commission shall be appointed by the president after consultation with leaders of all registered political parties and subject to the approval of Parliament. But okay, see, say the appointment letter where the president give, that second part they know it is subject to the approval of Parliament. I don't know why, but it's not an omission. So waiting for happen now, Parliament get for look into this appointment. And how does it happen? It go through the Appointment and Public Service Commission. We get 16 members of Parliament. And it's chaired by the leader of government business. And the ruling party get the majority. So when that committee they look into that appointment day, then go take them to the main house for debate. And for approval, a simple majority. So now here's the conundrum. If they not already appoint this commissioner, they will get a clause in the Constitutional Review Committee, the Constitutional Review Bill, where they call Act. Say, we forget a new system. So, why not wait until they go through Parliament before the president make the appointment? What's the hurry? Although, in we law, under Section 106, subsection 5, a bill can be retroactive. But I don't think there's any intention, if they don't appoint this man, where if that bill lay, that clause there, then go vote and accept in a Parliament, whether it go negate this appointment where the president don't make. So over to you, sir.
Yeah. So it seems to me, based upon what I know so far, one question I want to Mr. Mengo, you talk about Section 106, where they talk about a bill can be retroactive. Do you see where it says under what circumstances will that be allowed to happen?
Okay, let me go, because I can let for refer to waiting the Act say. Okay. Section 106. 1. The power of Parliament to make laws shall be exercised by bills passed by Parliament and signed by the President. Right? So,
yes.
What you get before Parliament now, the Constitutional Amendment Bill. Although, then they call them amendment, a bill to amend the Constitutional Amendment Act 2025. Are still a challenge, say, we not get a Constitutional Amendment Act 2025. So that's a misnomer.
Yeah.
But Section 106.2 say, subject to the provision of Section 8, a bill shall not become law unless it has been passed and signed in accordance with the Constitution. Yeah? So when you call Act, it has not been passed, so that's an error. Section 6 say, all laws subsection 6 of 106 say, all laws made by Parliament shall be styled acts. You see? So if you call an act, it means in a law where the Parliament don't make. That is what the Constitution says. You know we call an act if it's not a law. And the words of enactment shall be enacted by the President and members of Parliament in the present assembly. Right? So,
yeah.
Now that is safe. Then subsection 4 say, when a bill has been duly passed, signed by President in accordance with the provision of the Constitution, it shall become law and shall thereupon be published in the Gazette. Then subsection 5, when they ask, it said, no law made by Parliament shall come into operation until it has been published in the Gazette, but Parliament may postpone the coming into operation of any such law and may make laws with retroactive effect. So laws with retroactive effect means if you pass the act, you can go backwards and say this act can cover something we don't already exist. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. Okay, because that was my concern in terms of the retroactivity. How far does it go, and how do they accomplish that? Of course, to me, I'm not saying laws cannot be made retroactive, but I wish they can elaborate more, because this leaves room for, again, it leaves room for a president to be abusive of in power, because like current parliament can pass a law, because it doesn't seem to me, which you'd already show, there is anything we put a time limitation as far how far a law can be made retroactive. It's just open-ended. So some of them draftsmanship there, and then they lead to confusion. So something that was not a law, or that was not an offense, when it became an offense, a parliament could pass an act that can be made effective way back, whatever time period they feel for put there. So I think there should be some kind of caution or marking in terms of how far, if at all, a law is supposed to be applied retroactively, how far back should it go? So some of the things in it are very concerning, because again, this constitution what they try to put together then provision in it, and it come only when we not think in terms of safeguards, we think in terms of prosecutorial purpose in mind, trying to amass as much power to be able to come back and get on your opponent. And one of the most abused bill, now the cyber bill, the cyber bill, the way it's been interpreted in Sierra Leone, I think needs to be reviewed, need to be tested in the court for narrow, because I think that one of the most abused acts in the country, the cyber act, not bill. I think that the most abused bill, because now it's like one aspect of it is given to the police. The police, they have become the interpreter of what the cyber act or the cyber laws of Sierra Leone is. But the way that they interpret and then they apply this cyber law in Sierra Leone, I think is just not only unusual, but it's extraordinary in the sense that it's left in the hands of some top police officers, not the court, who decides whether you've engaged in cyber violation. Something will not get nothing to do with cyber itself, somehow has been dragged into being interpreted as anything unfavorable, not even anything negative. Anything unfavorable, anything offensive to the sitting government can be a violation. Anything said that is unfavorable to the government, or anything offensive to either the government as a whole or an individual, a top officials, then the way they interpret the cyber law now, the police of themselves or of its own can just take upon himself to accuse you of violating a crime and then order you, because I refuse to use the word invite, because I get problem with that word there. The police can order you to come and answer some questions down at the CID. They can take the issue. I've always said an invitation gives you the option to agree or disagree. But when they say you've been invited down to the CID, you're not being invited, you're being commanded, you're being ordered, and I think also that's an abuse of the due process guarantees what the Constitution gives. So there are so many things where they talk about then things here, and then composition here or section 106, then we talk about this search committee, would that then compose that. Too much power vested in the hands of the presidency, not the president, the presidency. So we therefore really start looking gradually as we look at other things, for everything, for work, for the good of the country. We should really start looking at whether power is being delegated to the president in proper order or appropriate order. That's, those are things that we should be concerned about. Not because one is in power now, you want to grab all of that, knowing full well that we all will not get a lease on life. Everybody will die one way or the other. So if we think about that, we would start to think in terms of doing something that is good for posterity. These are some of my concerns. Okay, so that said, let me just say, let me just go back to Mr. Bengot. That said, I have not anything else to say. Back to Mr. Bengot.
Okay, let's just finish this appointment. As I say, let me complain to people them. The president, in fact, I know say he recommend, because the appoint the electoral commissioner is subject to parliamentary approval. But given the situation, it is unlikely that his appointment will not go through parliament. Why do I say so? First of all, it will go through the Appointment and Public Service Committee, which is headed by the government business, the leader of government business. The ruling party also get a majority in parliament. So even if they put them to vote at committee stage, the majority will approve her. Then when you go to the well of the house for general debates, again, a majority will approve her. And considering the number of parliamentarians, because the ruling party get 81, the opposition get 54, and then we get 14 paramount chiefs. So it will be carried through. But the APC, when at the opposition, they no right say they oppose the appointment. We will see what they will do about that. But if they follow the process, there is no way this appointment will go through. So now I'll give you another update on this constitutional review. Remember, say the Attorney General have been saying people left for send position paper. After we broadcast last week, we'll talk about that. Government put out a notice which show Usai and Usai you for send your position paper. Now the legislative department, then put telephone number, then put website. But also interesting enough, not to all man go able right. We hear say some people and they when at some area, then the old town hall meeting. We get report on social media, so when they all the Cairo meeting at Koidu town hall, the paramount chiefs were opposed to diasporans being allowed to contest election as MPs or to be appointed as ministers. So you can see where the divide don't come. Also, we get information say, even the people that were not able to write, we get a commission where they call Right to Access Information Commission. Where that commission there, now anything where you want to know about government, you can apply to the commission for give you answer. and they get for respond back within 14 days. So beaucoup people they don't begin bombard the right to access commission for let them get numbers them for contact the MP, which I found very strange. So if people then go vote for MP, how come they're not able to know how to contact the MP through telephone number? Even if they don't give number, the MP then they forget a number where can make you contact them only for official use if they don't have private number. And also it's about time we get an official email address for every MP, not to yahoo.com, or let it be like how we get the website we know the work www.parliament.gov.sl. Similarly, we can get every MP get your personal official email where people can send email. If not, the MPs them they can get a contact line where if you're able to talk to yourself, you can leave a message. So how come them people that they represent we're not able to access them? In fact, not just the MP them, even the one them waiting at the committee. So now let's just gain an update before I finish. The bill don't go through pre-leg. Pre-leg that they tell them and go openly with and discuss it. You don't get the first reading. The first reading at the introductory stage, we tell what in the bill they're about. Parliament don't accept them. So the next stage now, but it's so strange that after the first reading, Parliament no set a date for the second reading. By now, if I don't know the second reading, waiting at the second reading, this is not the tell them they bring the bill in Parliament to the full well of Parliament, where MP then they discuss them and examine them clause by clause. And we hope say even the voting will be clause by clause, because the law say for the bill for sale through the next stage, it get 2/3 majority. So after the second reading, now they will get the committee stage when they all them position paper them go through. Whether committee day, now they get for look at all them and they come with a report. We will come back to Parliament with the reporting stage. So we urge Parliament now for let them make sure, say then tell we who stand and they do the second reading and we get the first debate na the well of Parliament. Because then they go clear a lot of things them na the ear. We also welcome some position paper, as he say, even Labour Congress have don't do the position paper. So this must be something we get interest for everybody, and we not just want to pass this law where just like that section I read in the Constitution, we talk about Parliament can make laws them with retroactive effect. We don't want that. So now that the update, we will continue for the updating on the bill, but we do hope say by the time they can next week, with the appeal to Parliament, let them tell we who stand at the date for the second reading. So that 10 days, some of we where they are away, because the diaspora self get clauses then we waiting at diaspora where they affect we can able contact, we MP them and tell them we concern. So now that I get for say over to you, sir.
Yeah, if I may ask just very briefly, you mentioned something about the paramount chiefdom. It's in a Koidu. They are opposed.
Yeah, Koidu.
Yeah, they are opposed to diaspora being able to become appointed ministers and to run for parliament. So, do you know which are the basis or which are the arguments? Do you get any idea?
Well, the arguments, what they said, and just say no more. They not give any reason as such, but then just feel to say, it's a matter of competition, you know. They just opposed to it. A member said the paramount chief, they're not to the majority. Because when they called it the town hall meeting, that was the view of the paramount chief. But you don't necessarily mean say, now the view of the electorate in that corridor area.
Yeah, what's so interesting is that some of them paramount chiefs here are people who were part of the diaspora some time ago. So now they've gone home, they've settled, so they're beginning to see a distinction. But I want to know which are they. My concern is it's okay for them to oppose, but they need for just explain how is that how does it impact or the country negatively if you get diasporans them or they participate in the political process not only by voting but by holding government offices, and that then diasporans here, they are still citizens. You know, a lot of them are citizens. So you see, then short-sighted way of looking at things. These are all the things where instead of them trying to be as inclusive as possible, they're trying to exclude certain people. So something as where you reside, not how much contribution you make to the country. And some of them might even get that because of one or two people. But I'm just curious. I would like to know, let people ask them, let them exchange if they get any reasonable basis to want to exclude the aspirants them from becoming members of parliament or ministers. You know, that's what I was commenting. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. I think we all.
Well, that's why I was saying, let we get a functioning parliamentary website first. Because if we remember, the Attorney General been say, he go get a special website for put all their information here. 30 they will not see it during the time where they may get the privilege. So if we get a website, what will they appeal now? All them position paper and day where then they submit.
They need to download them.
It be open to scrutiny by we. So that if the majority of people then say this, then Parliament go say other thing. When then they vote, we go know order for all accountable. So transparency and due diligence. And they appeal again for the parliamentary website for let it on. I check them back before I come. Now that makes sure when they come on them program here, I know I misinform people then. By now, Seth, they for don't publish the names of all the people then where they now the legislative committee. The MPs them we go for look into this bill at committee stage, but there's a lot of unknown. We don't need for get people them for go through the right to access information commission, forget way for reach MPs them. After all, the MPs are there representing the people. So there's a lot to be done. If we want to make this process open and transparent, these are some of the things where both Parliament and the AG get for pay attention to. With that, I not get much more for say on this. We will continue for updating on the bill. We just hope again, as I say, by the next time they come, we will not get a date for the second reading. When the real things start, we go, Parliament go debate them, and then go vote for see whether, because without 2/3 majority at the second reading, then the bill will be dead. So that's all I have to say to now. I thank you very much for listening to me. I hope say some of them complex issues here are able to reference them with existing law. And I stand challenged in all of these things because there is no monopoly to knowledge. So that's my last word. We wish them people the way they continue with the Ramadan. Let God accept them prayers them. And also let the fasting go well for them. The same with Christian brothers them, where they observe Lent and they fast through Lent. And let us make sure say, them prayers they all they say, not just for the self and the family. Lord, pray for the country. Lord, get leaders them, we go listen to waiting with the people they want. So that's my last word tonight. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. Let me also wish everyone happy Lent, happy Ramadan, successful Ramadan, and let we all try our best for comply and comport ourselves because Ramadan, Lent, all then these are just disciplines. Then we need forget because you therefore stay away from prior inappropriate activities. So we hope and pray that we will do our best, all of us, and comply. And I wish everybody a very successful Ramadan and all of God's blessings. And the same apply to people in way they keep fast during the Lent period of Lent. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.